Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today's June 1st already. Welcome to our council meeting. I do have a couple of proclamations and things to announce here, so bear with me until we get into the formal part of the meeting. Okay. I'd like to start off with Pride. It is Pride Month, of course. For those of you, I recognize a few here in the gallery that did attend a couple of the sessions this morning for the flag raising. Thank you so much for participating in that. As mayor, I believe it's really important as a community where everyone feels safe, welcome, and they belong. City will continue to support Pride Month and will raise the Pride Progress flag as a symbol that people are welcome and safe to live their authentic lives here in Woodstock. And I want to stress that, okay? Everyone certainly has the right to their own opinion. However, any comments disparaging people based on their identity, orientation, race, gender, disability, or any other personal characteristics are not welcome as part of the city's commitment to inclusion here within our friendly city of Woodstock. And I want to stress that as mayor. Okay. Thank you. So Tammy Murray is, of course, here. If you don't mind, if you would like to come up, do have a proclamation that I read earlier, but I wanted to read this again today here in council. Put it on the books. Record, sure, if you'd like. Whereas the city of Woodstock observes Pride Month with a pride flag raising ceremony to honor the history of the 2 LGBTQAI+ liberation movement and to support the rights of all citizens to experience equality and freedom from discrimination. And whereas the rainbow flag is widely recognized as a symbol of pride, inclusion, and support for social movements that advocate for 2 LGBTQAI+ people in society. Whereas all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights, 2 LGBTQAI+ individuals have had a measurable impact to the cultural, civic, and economic success of our country. And whereas the city of Woodstock is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for 2 LGBTQAI+ people in our diverse community. And whereas while society at large increasingly supports 2 LGBTQIA+ equality, it is essential to acknowledge the need for education and awareness remains vital to end discrimination and prejudice. And whereas celebrating Pride Month influences awareness and provides support and advocacy for the 2 LGBTQAI+ community and is an opportunity to take action, engage in dialogue, to strengthen alliances, build acceptance, and advance equal rights. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Accioni, on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2023 as Pride Month. Thank you. Like you to have that. Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. As president of the Pride Committee, for those that don't know, huge advocate. All right. Up next, I'd like to give out some good awards. Student Civic Awards of Excellence. Aislinn Rooney and Raquel Hunter. Please come forward. For those that don't know, here's a little bit of some history. Recipients of Woodstock City Council's 2023 Student Civic Award of Excellence are hardworking, dedicated, and determined individuals. These young women are exemplary students who have maintained above average grades in all courses throughout their academic careers. In addition to their academic awards, they have both shown outstanding commitment to their school and the community. Raquel is a very active member of her school community. She has competed in track and field and participated in Grow Girls. She has spearheaded a greater appreciation of different cultures and as a member of Student Council and Arts, Culture and Environmental Representative. She has successfully co-organized the first cultural day for the school. She's also volunteered her time at Park Place Nursing Home and as a summer camp counselor. Through the Caribbean Canadian Association, she continues to organize and develop plans to express Caribbean culture here in Woodstock. In the fall of 2023, Raquel will be attending Lambton College and practical nursing program. Congratulations. Now, Aislinn is a very valued member of her school community. She is a member of the hockey team, the basketball team, and captain the girls volleyball team. She has accumulated over 200 hours of community service. Aislinn is always willing to help others and take pride in her work. She is completing the Specialist High School's major program to improve her already high leadership and communication skills. She has shown these leadership skills through the SHSM Health and Wellbeing Specialized Program at her school. In the fall of 2023, Aislinn will be attending Brock University in the Social Sciences program. Congratulations. I hear you had to put that in today. So for these reasons, Woodstock City Council extends congratulations and best wishes for continued success and awards the 2023 Student Civic Award of Excellence to College Avenue Secondary School graduate Raquel Hunter and Notre Dame graduate Aislinn Rudy. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations so much. Congratulations. Well deserved. Sure, absolutely. Parents can come forward if you like. Doesn't happen every day if you want to think about it. At least doesn't my childhood. My parents weren't here taking pictures. I guess they are.
Thank you.
Anyways,
Thank you.
congratulations again. Thank you. Best of luck at school. And remember to come back to Woodstock when you're done school, okay? Congratulations. Little housekeeping I got to start with here. So this hybrid meeting is being held in person here in City Council chambers and electronically in accordance with Section 238, subsection 3.3 of the Municipal Act and Section 16.6.24 of the City of Woodstock Procedure Bylaw. This meeting is being live streamed to the city's YouTube channel and recording will be posted on the city's website following the meeting. The meeting will also be broadcast on Rogers TV. An agenda of the meeting can be found on the agendas, meetings, and minutes page of the city's website. And all of council is here in presence today. Today, Councillor Wismer Van Meer will be reading the resolutions. We did have a closed session meeting earlier today that finished, I believe, at 1:21, if my memory is correct. Any disclosure or conflict of interest? Seeing none. Disclosure of new business. Matters arising from the minutes. Now the minutes. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Schadenberg, that the minutes of the regular meeting of Woodstock City Council held on May 18th, 2023 be adopted.
Thank you. Any questions on that? All right, seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Next up, additions to the agenda. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Lauder, that the following items be added to the agenda. Councillor report item 13.A, 2023 Accessibility Conference, Councillor Leatherbarrow. Bylaw 9603-23, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, zone 8-21-12 south of Oxford Road 17. Bylaw 9604-23, a bylaw to amend the City of Woodstock Municipal Code, Chapter 153, Property Standards Officers Appointments. Bylaw 9605-23, a bylaw to amend the City of Woodstock Municipal Code, Chapter 134, Officials Appointments.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing none? All those in favor? Carried, none opposed. I've made my presentations already, so delegations. So at this point, I would like to remind all delegations that we ask that there is a 5-minute time limit on any delegations. And please keep it short. Joanna and Amy, please come forward. And Jen, yeah, please. Yeah. Should be on there if you click it. Right there. And thanks, everybody. Congratulations again.
Whenever you're ready. Okay,
Please go ahead.
thanks. Carol Colleton, Anastasia Kujic, and Natalie Warmerdam of Renfrew County were murdered by their former partner in 2015, and an inquest into these deaths was held in June of 2022. Of the 86 recommendations for change issued by the jury as a result of this inquest, the first is that the Ontario government declare intimate partner violence an epidemic. This idea is directly replicated in the recommendations issued following the Nova Scotia mass shooting inquiry, which calls for public health approach to be taken to violence against women and stable core funding for groups that help women survivors. Intimate partner violence, IPV, refers to any behavior within an intimate relationship that causes physical, psychological, or sexual harm. The term intimate partner includes current and former spouses, dating partners, and sexual partners. IPV does not appear in every relationship in the same way. Physical assault, sexual violence, criminal harassment, threats of physical or sexual violence, reproductive coercion, spiritual abuse, cyber violence, emotional, financial, or psychological abuse are all examples of how coercive control can be perpetuated. IPV can range from a single incident of violence that has long-term consequences to chronic and severe episodes that are endured for years. In many circumstances, IPV leads to femicide, which can be defined as the death of women and girls on the basis of their gender.
It is estimated that one woman in Canada is murdered by her intimate partner every 6 days. 54% of 2S LGBTQIA+ individuals experienced intimate partner violence, and their rate of violent victimization is 2 times higher than cisgender individuals. Intimate partner violence occurs in all settings and among all socioeconomic, religious, and cultural groups. The overwhelming global burden of IPV is held by women and genderqueer individuals. According to one study of IPV convictions in Ontario, 92% of offenders were men. Data also revealed that women and genderqueer individuals are more likely than men to be subjected to IPV with increased severity, such as being strangled, assaulted, or threatened with a weapon, or sexually assaulted. The Department of Justice Canada estimates that $7.4 billion is spent on the aftermath of intimate partner violence each year. This includes immediate costs, such as emergency room visits, involvement of police in the criminal justice system, related costs, such as loss of income and funeral expenses, and intangible costs, such as pain and suffering. The Ontario Association of Interval and Transition Houses, OATH, releases regular reports on femicide in Ontario. The most recently released report, spanning November 2021 to November 2022, showed 52 women and girls murdered in Ontario during that period. The images portrayed in front of us are of the 13 Ontario women that have been murdered by a current or former intimate partner in the first quarter of 2023. Please note that from has not yet been released. A snapshot of Woodstock-specific statistics has been included for your review in the material package that we've provided. The City of Woodstock remembers Lois Alexander, Shelley Cowell, and Sandra Schott.
2022 marked the 8th consecutive year of increase in police-reported IPV in Canada. This epidemic requires immediate responses from all levels of government. The consequences of IPV are long-lasting and far-reaching. These survivors and our victims are our friends, sisters, children, parents, colleagues, employees, and employers. In spite of continuing progress in public education, there is still a stigma attached to being a victim of IPV, and many choose not to report because they believe their experiences of violence are a private matter and that they may not be believed. To date, 14 municipalities across Ontario have declared intimate partner violence an epidemic. A full list of these municipalities has been included in the materials we've provided. Today, we ask that on behalf of the City of Woodstock that all voting city councillors and your worship, Mayor Jerry Accioni, approve the motion to declare intimate partner violence an epidemic. In doing so, the City of Woodstock will have the opportunity to demonstrate that we represent a community that is committed to ending violence in intimate relationships. This declaration will send a strong message to victims of IPV that they need not suffer violence in private, and that they are part of a community that will stand with them, support them, and believes in their right of safety. This declaration will make it clear to our residents in the province that the City of Woodstock will not tolerate this violence in our community. Thank you. We welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. We'll start Councillor Tate.
Through your worship, thank you for the presentation. I had a call from one of the victims' families just not that long ago because the spouse was coming up for probation again. Are you finding that the justice system has changed at all, or is it still, like, are you able to lobby them? Do you have a voice with them, or is that something high above what you guys are doing?
I would say it's still an ongoing struggle for us. I think one of the things we mentioned, and just in general, we see gender-based violence as a whole still very stigmatized. We don't see it as a reality because these instances feel uncomfortable, right? To talk about violence in any form brings discomfort. And so with that discomfort also brings silence. And so even though, you know, there are advocates on the floor and really trying to push things forward, unfortunately, things are still not progressing as fast as we'd like them to. I know with the justice system specifically, Kira's Law was recently passed. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with that. So that was a win. That was a great win. And we can hope and continue that these conversations continue to happen. But we're still seeing time and time again that unfortunately the justice system just does not do the diligence it needs for the survivors.
Just to follow up, we did endorse that
Mhm.
law when it came to council, and it is very sad because when I had communication with this family, I find that the survivors are the ones that are still punished, and they have to relive it, and there
Mhm.
doesn't seem to be punishment for the person that committed the crime. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Councillor Schattenberg next.
I guess from the mayor through to our delegation. I noticed a bit of an infograph on some of the material that you've submitted that's part of our agenda regarding something called the Here and Now campaign. I was wondering if you could give us a little bit more information on exactly what Here and Now is.
Absolutely. I don't mean to be taking over, so please
Okay.
jump in. So Here and Now was actually established last year. So myself and one of my colleagues, Andy Boodoo, we were meeting with a lot of you who are sitting here today, and just a lot of community in general in the summer of last year. And one thing that we were hearing regularly was, oh, this is happening here. We didn't realize that. And so what we collectively and collaboratively decided upon was, how can we get this message across a little bit better? And so we created this Here and Now campaign, which we launched in November of last year of 2022, to bring about a sense of awareness that these issues are happening here and they are happening now. Our hope with this campaign is to raise some much needed funds. As you probably seen in some of your materials, our sector is significantly under-resourced and underfunded. And unfortunately, we don't get any prevention dollars. And so our hope with this campaign is to begin doing some more prevention work, because we know that it's important to address the immediate crisis and safety of folks 100%, but it's also important to start changing the conversation because a lot of us have been doing this work for 30, 40, 50 years, and it's the same. Nothing's really changed. And so we know that to change it is to educate people, and we can only do that with prevention. So that's why we did that.
Councillor Schomburg, continue.
Yeah, I guess as a follow-up, as we all know, the County of Oxford deals with human services as sort of a topic, but the one thing we can deal with at Woodstock City Council when it comes to something like policing is just general safety. And that's safety in all areas, whether it be 4-year-old kids or 84-year-old people. What do you sort of picture in your mind as to maybe a way that Woodstock City Council could assist beyond this declaration as far as safety for the community, just using that word?
It's a really good question.
That is a really good question.
You know, we often get asked this question, and I think, and I like to just bring it back to like basics, really, is to really opening up lines of communication. You know, like I hope that even through today's discussion, maybe someone heard about us that hadn't heard about us. Maybe somebody was like, oh my gosh, this is happening in my home. This is happening to me. So really our hope in general is to, again, spread that awareness piece. And we hope that by the city of Woodstock supporting us in this declaration of intimate partner violence being an epidemic, we can then continue with those conversations on the county level. And again, put a little bit more pressure on our provincial government to increase funding once again, more and more municipalities and cities come through.
Please continue.
Sorry, just the one last question, and I know we've got DASO in the city of Woodstock on James Street. Some people have historically called the Woodstock Women's Emergency Center, but give us an idea on the capacity there, Joanna, because at the end of the day, sometimes, and I use the word safety again, sometimes safety is the place to go to, but it's difficult sometimes to get in there, isn't it?
For sure. And I'll give this one to Jen. She's definitely the expert on this one.
Sure, thank you. No, I appreciate the question. I think certainly the pandemic itself really highlighted the need for services and supports, and DASO in particular, as well as Ingamo Homes, was considered an essential service during that time. And it did impact our capacity. So we are funded for 17 beds for the entire county. So that's not just for Woodstock, and we are consistently at 100% capacity right now. So that means we're turning upwards of 174 women a year away and trying to refer and find space for them somewhere else who are attempting to flee violence. So it begs the question, if we don't consider intimate partner violence at this point an epidemic, when are we?
Councillor Leatherborough, then we'll go to Councillor Wheaton. Sorry.
Through your worship, sorry. So first and foremost, thank you so much for coming today. I've had the pleasure of working with you both professionally and in volunteer work, and I just respect the three of you so much. And I think this is a really important topic for Woodstock, but for the broader, Oxford County community. We are a rural region, and I do often think of our area municipalities and lack of transportation and being able to come to Woodstock, this, that, and the other thing. And if any of you are able, just for the public's knowledge or all of us, just to elaborate a little bit about who are the community members most impacted in terms of intimate partner violence? Just because, to preface, we often think that it's not happening in our community, or if it is, what would that look like? So try to break down those barriers of those stereotypes, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. We were actually chatting earlier a little bit about how news media and media generally, especially when it's portraying intimate partner violence in a rural community, it's often focusing on like a young white woman of maybe a higher socioeconomic status. And that's kind of who we're looking to protect or save. But the reality is that in Oxford County, as well as any other community, that women and genderqueer individuals who maybe have disabilities or are older than the population you would think, or are Black or Hispanic or Latina or Indigenous, are actually experiencing intimate partner violence at a entirely disproportionate rate to the rest of the population. And so I really like your question because that kind of allows us to highlight that it really is any woman and every woman and any genderqueer individual. It's not just necessarily maybe the one movie or the one news clip that you may have seen. It really does affect everyone.
And I think it's important to note, I think I mentioned this earlier around this like shame element to it, right? And what we're seeing from a research perspective is that the reason that rural communities are under-resourced and underfunded is because from a provincial standpoint, we don't need the services. And why don't we need the services? Well, because we're all spread out. And we're all spread out and we all know each other. So your abuser might be your neighbor, or it might have been your best friend's son, or really anybody. So that confidentiality piece is completely removed. And so by the victim or survivor coming forward and saying, hey, this is what's happening to me in the context of a rural community, puts them at significant risk, because now people know who they are. They know her and they know the partner. And so that is oftentimes why, again, there's this quietness around it, why people don't say anything, and why people don't even know it exists, because again, it's this isolation bit. Because if you think about it, like both of our organizations, both Dasso and Ingamo, are in Woodstock. Now, what if you are living in Tilsonburg, you don't have a car, you're a new mother with an infant, how are you going to get to Dasso or to Ingamo? What if you don't have a bank account? You can't afford $20 for a cab. We don't have Ubers here. Like, how are you going to get anywhere around the county if those resources don't exist? And so it puts people at significant risk. And this is why I think specifically Oxford County as well, just because of how large we are. It happens here a lot.
Continue.
Thank you so much for that. And just again, for the broader community that is either watching or will watch this later, in terms of proximity where Woodstock is in Oxford County, within your presentation, I just quoted the 401 corridor has been well documented as a primary route for sex traffickers to transport and sell victims of commercial sexual exploitation. And that deeply saddens me, but also we have more work to do. So thank you again for your presentation.
Councillor Wheaton.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. Through you, a couple of points, and there is a question in here. For those who are at home and are in the crowd, we were provided with an extensive amount of information, and I would encourage people to take the time. You only had 5 minutes to present to us, but to take the 30 minutes to go through and really understand the depth of the issue. Councillor Schadenberg asked us, Council, what can we do? So I would suggest that without making any promises, as the councillor that sits on the Community Grants Committee, another intake will be coming in September, I believe. There might be an opportunity to submit an application there, and there are funds, and whether it's granted or not is not entirely up to me, but a suggestion for you. And then finally, my question would be, Councillor Tate mentioned lobbying. Many of us will be attending the Association of Municipalities of Ontario conference, and that is an opportunity to sit in front of various provincial ministers and talk about the issues in our community. So who would you suggest we best, if we could get an audience, who would you suggest we reach out to raise this awareness for our community?
Do you mean in terms of like at the provincial level?
Yeah, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of, community, I don't know what Children and Family Services is called now, but
MCCSS.
MCCSS.
That's a really good question. I think MCCSS is definitely the big one. And as well as I think, and I'm not really sure logistically what that would look like when you go and sit in. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback when you're there. But I think really anyone that intersects with what it is that we do. So legal folks, medical, anybody that would have some type of say in supporting these services. And there is a lot of intersection. So I know MCCSS funds us. I know that we get there's a certain organization gets some health funding as well, because we know that, these issues are health issues as well. So housing is another bit, like, we know that one of the big challenges is the reason that people sometimes return to partner and able to move forward is because they don't have anywhere to go. We're all dealing with a housing crisis here across Canada. And so that would be another great resource as well to share this information with them.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that a woman experiencing or fleeing intimate partner violence is accessing such a long list of services, mental health and addictions, outreach, hospitals, police. Yeah, anyone on that service spectrum really, as well as education, so that we can go so far upstream and prevent it before we're even getting to this conversation. And sorry that the package was so long. I did my best editing and compressing skills, and I still got to 70 pages.
No need, no need.
Yeah, please don't apologize for that.
Thorough is the word. Thank you.
Councillor Lauder?
Thank you, and through the mayor to the delegation. Thank you for the delegation that you came forward on this. I had a question asked of me on the weekend. Why they weren't having the take a walk in her shoes. This gentleman asked me, and he was quite concerned because he always took part in it. So maybe you can tell me. I said for him to call me later. I would see if I could find out.
I will do my best to answer your question. Thank you for asking. Men in heels? I think at one point it was walk a mile in her shoes. It's a fundraiser that you're referring to, which was it really was sort of the flagship fundraiser, if you will, for DASO and Women's Emergency Center at the time. It really honestly boiled down to resources to be able and capacity to be able to run the event. It takes a lot of work and a lot of time. And we also like to look at other avenues and other ways to fundraise. Sometimes those things have a life as well, even though it was so incredibly supported by this community. It was a lot of fun. But we're looking to hopefully next year, DASO will be honoring its 50th anniversary in this community, and we'll be doing some pretty amazing things. So we were just taking a pause on that.
Thank you very much. And I'm on the nonprofit housing that our new build that hopefully we'll be able to get started in July. And we are going to be having some families from DASO. So this is something new for our nonprofit housing, and we are looking forward to that. So thank you.
No, we're thrilled for the partnership. Thank you.
I guess I'll go last. Well, if Men in Heels is not going to happen anymore, if it's because the last ones I wore, I broke the heel on it. I apologize. I will
Jerry,
certainly
we don't
buy
want
a
to call
new
you
pair.
out, but
Yeah, I'll certainly buy a new pair. Just happy you come with size 13s every time. All kidding aside, my calves, thank you for taking the year off. That really hurts after a while. This one touches home. It's no secret. I've been very public about my upbringing. It's no secret. I did spend time as a family in a domestic abuse home. This is real. I've never shied away from it because of the stigmas that a lot of people attach to it. I don't believe in it. I think of my mother all the time. Could you imagine taking 5 kids out of a fairly comfortable home, going away and to virtually nothing, no bank accounts, nothing. Had to move out of the cities because the one we were in, of course, my father found us. We had to move cities, moved around, went to different schools because of it. So this is firsthand experience, and this is absolutely terrible and tragic. This happens. The hardships put on mothers and spouses that have to go through this is just unreal. Just unreal. So thanks, Mom. But anyways, it's an epidemic for sure. Yeah. I'm certainly fully supportive and just something to leave with. I'm not going to go into too much details, but think of this. We had 1,570 calls for domestics here in Oxford County last year between Oxford County, Woodstock Police and Oxford OPP. 1,570 calls for domestics. Think about that number, and 365 days of a year. This is real. And it has to stop somehow. It has to stop. So,
And those are the individuals that call.
thank you.
Yes.
Who knows how many, and I would hazard to guess it's probably double, triple, and 4 times probably higher than that.
Yeah, even Dasso's numbers were 3,000 last year
Yeah.
for calls, right?
So Dasso, Engamo, thank you for the work you do. I know it's a very tough situation you're in, and certainly I'm here on a personal level as Jerry Accioni to help any way I can. But if the mayor role can help as well, please let me know. Okay? Any other discussion before we call a vote? Oh, I need a motion. I'm sorry. Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough?
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council declare intimate partner violence an epidemic, and further that City Council refer the presentation to the Safe and Well Oxford Steering Committee for consideration throughout the implementation of the Oxford Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Wheaton. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. That is carried. So thank you so much for the work you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next up, I would welcome Christine Cunningham, Executive Director of Southgate Center. Welcome.
Thank you. Oops, a little reverb on this one too. So first of all, I want to kick this off that I wish we had a flag to fly to. June kicks off Provincial Seniors Month. So let's give it up for the seniors.
If I may, I do have a proclamation for tomorrow at your event.
I
will
know
be
you're
there.
coming out to that barbecue, so that's all well and good, but I thought, you know, in the moment, while everyone's getting their moment. And while we may not all agree with the term senior, active adults over 50 is where we like to place ourselves. I think we all get it, right? Yeah, especially when there's discounts and all of that being made available. Well, Mayor Accioni and city councilors, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to speak today. I am proud representing Southgate Center. I am no stranger to this council. I have been on the topic of expansion and the silver tsunami upon us for quite a few years. We gave you a heads up 9 years ago. We started conversations saying it's coming, it's here. They are here. Our aim of today's delegation is to update City Council on the Southgate Center's renovation and addition progress and to obtain council direction on a building layout and respect to budget. October 3rd, 2019, Southgate Center came as a delegation before City Council requesting consideration of the Southgate expansion for inclusion of the 2021-2022 city capital budget. In November of that year, at City of Woodstock 2020-2024 capital budget meeting, the Southgate Center expansion and renovation for $6.3 million was approved under Parks and Recreation project. In October of last year, at the City of Woodstock's 2023-2026 capital budget meeting, the Southgate Center expansion and renovation was approved by this council for 2023, and the green light was given to start the process. An architect was decided upon, and we started the process of finalizing plans in late fall of last year. The City of Woodstock and a team from Southgate Center have been meeting every 2 weeks, struggling to get plans to align with the budget, Staff of both Southgate and the city, our board and the capital build committee were disheartened to see the increase in proposed budget build that was delivered 2 weeks ago. The combined team at Southgate Center has worked diligently to move ahead in an efficient manner. Delays in proceeding and finalizing plans has left us, like many, in a position of dealing with inflation and its associated costs. The city staff worked on this project along with A+ Link Architect. They have been wonderful to work with. Craig, Lorraine, Mike, and his team Bella at A+ Link also. Within less than 24 hours, the architect had reduced the plan to reflect a better budget that was struck a better plan for the budget that was struck back in 2019. And while on paper, the city has checked off, or this plan has checked off many of those boxes, such as additional accessible washrooms and additional program space, there are two very big things that are still missing. The first, social space, one of the key components of this new build. You'll see, and I know council did receive these handouts. Not sure if I'm controlling this or if they're flipping. This is the plan that we had left with, and we're waiting on a costings. And this is, we were very hopeful that this would fall within our budget. This is the preferred plan that Southgate is looking at. And is it me? Sorry. So just this one here. Maybe not. I apologize. I am visually, I am missing this. You can talk to me. It's okay. Go up, go down, go around. I'll keep talking. That's okay.
Sorry, if you want to use the keyboard underneath to use the arrow keys. And I think if you hit F4 or F5, you should be able to go back to full screen.
M.
F4 or F5, I believe. Or you can go to view at the top of the screen and go down the menu.
Okay, we're Sarah. Your eyes are going to work better than mine. All right. Quotes from some of our members who couldn't be here today with regards to what Southgate Centre means to them. A place to be, my happy place, a place where I feel like I belong, my community, the reason I moved to Woodstock. This place has saved my life. I had no friends. When my husband died, I thought my life was over too. It gave me a reason to get up, get dressed in the morning. My mental health has suffered for many years. Southgate has given me that reprieve. Retirement now has a purpose. It's all about the people. I matter. It's my daily shot of tonic. I simply love the people there. It's a place to laugh with other like adults and who get me for who I am. It's my fountain of youth. The people are so welcoming and happy. Isolation of seniors is a national issue. Southgate fights that every single day, as does communities at large. The expanded Southgate Centre was giving social space with options of quieter space, busier space, a space with natural light, surrounded by nature, a place to meet new and old friends, or simply a place to come so that you're not sitting at home alone, a reason to get out of the house, get dressed, and find a place that you belong within your own community. In December 2014, the City of Woodstock was presented with a rec facility needs study. And it's actually from this study that our vision and our proposal took place. I have the most recent version of this study that was presented to City Council back in 2021. And I just want to I'm just going to read just a smidgen of this for you and the introduction to this whole report. Over the years, thousands of people have passed through City of Woodstock's rec facilities. These facilities have provided the foundation for professional and amateur athletes whose roots are in Woodstock, while inspiring generations of children and adults to lead active, healthy lives. Just as importantly, Woodstock's recreation facilities are and always have been hubs of the community that bring residents together while introducing newcomers to life in the city. Today's recreational landscape is much different today than it was 50 years ago. The City of Woodstock continues to invest in recreational facilities so that it may keep pace with population growth, respond to evolving preferences for recreation and sport, and so that its residents can maintain social connections and healthy lifestyles. Woodstock's rec facilities are places where family members, friends, and neighbors can socialize and participate in various physical activities. Rec facilities are essential to achieving a balanced and healthy lifestyle while also providing positive support to economic development and sport tourism objectives. With busy lifestyles, greater amounts of screen time, increasing rates of social isolation, growing rates of obesity-related medical conditions, mental health, and getting through the COVID-19 pandemic, Woodstock's investments in recreation have never been more important and will be a significant investment in community health moving forward. Looking to the future, Woodstock is expected to accommodate the majority of population growth projected for all of Oxford County over the next 25 years. Accordingly, the city's rec infrastructure will be subjected to new demands from a growing and increasingly diverse population base who will be looking for the city's recreational facilities to keep pace with their growing needs and expectations. Then takes me to the population growth by age. Age is an important factor for planning recreation facilities. Overall, the Canadian population is aging as the baby boom generation enters their senior year. Population by age groups have grown in all categories, interestingly, except for youth and teens between the age of 10 and 19. However, the 55+ age group has experienced the greatest degree of growth by numbers of persons and rate of change. Statistics Canada census taken in 2021 revealed the population of Woodstock was 46,705. This is all for you number people. Of that population, 28,495 people were identified as being 50 years of age and older. That is a whopping 61% of Woodstock's population right here that is over 50 years of age. The second big issue that we were concerned about of reducing the plan that you see on the screen now was our food services. Our food services makes up for more than 30% of our annual budget. To propose a project that does not address this for us would be unacceptable, as we are presently tripping over each other in our existing kitchen. The 3 F's: we provide fun, we provide fellowship, and we provide food. And I'll tell you, food on the table is a wonderful piece to bring people together socially, as well as just overall wellness being. Healthy home cooked meals is what we cook in our kitchen. Our frozen food selection has increased. Pre-COVID, we have seen an increase of over 700% in our sales, and that continues. And this additional space was going to allow us an extra space, not only for preparing the meals, but also for storing the meals. We presently at Southgate have 13 different fridges and freezers. I actually think we have more because I think I forgot the one that was in the cafe and the one that's down the hallway heading out one of the exits, and then the one that's actually small one in the boardroom. We presently have no walk-in fridge or freezer, and without these in the addition or in the other example of the what we call the slimmied down version, no expanded kitchen, no walk-in fridge or freezer. The servery that is listed here is just labeled as a servery, but it's actually, that's our expanded kitchen. Unfortunately, I had a big board I wanted to show you of what we presented in 2019 and what was approved in 2019. We have cut and cut and cut. And one of those cuts was the kitchen was actually, we were blowing out walls to what we call our Kinsman room, games room, as well as into our boardroom. And the kitchen was going to be expanded that way. This very clever plan saves us money in not taking out those cinder blocks, and it is utilizing 2/3 of what we presently have as our admin space. And we would use that as a kitchen that we could do our daily baking in. All of our prep work can happen there. But also I think we've seen a really large demand and a newer demand in the last few years to have space for the ethnic groups to bring in their food. And this would allow us that also. And it would be in conjunction with the new added space. No room for the grab and go freezers also. And again, I'm referring to a skinny down version of what potentially might be removed to be able to stay closer to the existing budget that was approved for 2019. So no grab and go fridges. And that means those who are grabbing food to either sit and eat at affordable prices or to take things home, they don't have the ability to do that. We struggle with that on a daily basis. So we limit the time that they can grab that, but we want to be able to have the facility open and allow people to purchase good, healthy, home cooked meals at affordable prices anytime that they do come into the facility. Not to mention no additional cafe space to grab a coffee, sandwich, muffin, sit, visit, relax. It really would be a terrible, terrible loss for Southgate Centre and the community. I could go on and on, but I know you get my story. New amenities or room have not been the reason for the $2 million increase. In fact, throughout this project, staff, board, committee members, and stakeholders have maintained a positive or a position, excuse me, of good stewardship of funds being allocated by our members, donors, and taxpayers. So much so that we have in this process downsized the initial plan presented and approved by council in 2019, and then again last fall in 2022. This is when I was going to show you the big board, and I was going to tell you we've cut number 1, number 2, number 7, number 9, number 8, number 11, and number 15 from that original plan that we had approval for and we had struck a budget. Obviously, if we had started the project at 6 months later in 2019, we would have been golden. We'd be in a new facility. We'd be inviting you all to come and enjoy that. However, that's not the case. So to further reduce this plan again would be short-sighted and financially irresponsible in the long term. This proposed reduction in square footage will not facilitate the present growth of our center, much less what is coming for this community in the future. Local studies show that the tax contributing demographic we serve is exponentially growing. To build on this small footprint would leave us in the position of looking at future expansion at a much higher cost. Not to mention, we would be back here within only a very short period of time asking for an additional build altogether. As council members, we know that you see an additional increase to the budget of $2 million, an investment in a city asset. Has this council ever considered what it may cost to budget this center if the city was actually running it as many other municipalities do? The staffing and resources involved in continuing to provide the same level of excellence that our community can enjoy at the moment and into the future. We have worked very closely with the city and we've exceeded our commitment on this build. Changing things now, downsizing the footprint of the center will send the wrong message, not only to all of those who have donated, and we have raised to date $1.2 million for this build, all based on the plan that you're not seeing here. You're seeing the other plan that was again approved previously. But we do see it being a worthwhile cause, but also to the 61% of adults that are over 50 years of age that call the friendly city their home. Staff, members, board, community stakeholders, and volunteers continue to work hard at finding efficiencies to make our center run better. We continue to source new revenue streams to take the pressure off the city and in turn the taxpayers. We are committed to the belief that this center is not only needed, but vital to our community. The future is now. We may have been silent, but we are present. Our population will see a 40% increase of baby boomers once again over the next 5 years. Our proposed expansion checks off so many of the boxes that have been identified in your very own rec facility needs study, and we're really proud of that. And you should be too. Your support has been tremendous in the 24 years that Southgate Center has been here in this community. The Southgate Center building is a city asset. Southgate management manages and maintains the building and all programming. We share in major maintenance costs with the city, and we are responsible for all other expenses, heat, hydro, etc. We do receive grant funding from the city for a total of $137,700. And again, very thankful for that. All staff are employed by Southgate Center. We are a not-for-profit charitable organization that maintains a responsible and balanced budget. What we at Southgate Center are very concerned about is that if we accept a slimmed down version, we will lose what it has taken us 24 years to create. Together, we hope you will continue the project that we started in 2019, and that's to create a safe place to be active, to play, to learn, to explore, to connect, to grow, to unite, to belong, to meet, to laugh, and to celebrate healthy, active aging right here in Woodstock. Thank you for your consideration. We do hope to see all of you tomorrow at our community barbecue. We are expecting hundreds and hundreds of people. This is sponsored by Century 21. It's happening tomorrow, Friday, June the 2nd at 12 noon in celebration of Seniors Month. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of council? Councillor Tate.
Thank you, Chris, for your presentation. Very informative. I just want to start off by reading this from the Premier. It's time to recognize the hard work seniors have done all their lives to make Ontario into the great place it is today. To our seniors across the province, thank you for all your contributions. We will always support you. So I've always been involved in the community with volunteer work for almost since we could walk. My dad always believed you have to give back to the community. So I recognize all the hours that seniors have put into this community that we've never recognized that we would have to otherwise have to pay people. And I think those hours, you can't even measure. So this community has always been big on volunteering. I've always been a big supporter of Southgate. As when it moved, my dad was one of the first fundraise chairs for it. So big believer. Ran into former Councillor Talbot today and we were discussing it and she said, I think you need to remind everybody if they scale down what happened at the complex. So with the complex originally, there was supposed to be a bigger kitchen. There was supposed to be seating in the second arena. That was all cut out. And then we ended up with what we have. So you end up with a room we can't use for anything because the kitchen isn't big enough. And then of course we don't have the seating in the second arena like we have. So I think it's, we have to be very cautious when we cut back. I know the last time you came, you commented on the number of community groups that use the facility. Can you just remind everybody again what that number is?
Certainly, we have a long list of over 100 community groups that come and utilize that facility. We have been for the last few years turning groups away constantly, and I know it's really difficult. And I mean, they try very hard, you know, is there any space at all? But we've really seen ourselves, you know, like it or not, want it or not, we are a community hub. We are there and we have the space. And I think also given the fact that at the complex that there has been a change to the flooring for recreation there also. And I know Brian Connors and I had a conversation about this last year when this was being proposed or happening, that he asked, you know, are we going to be open to this, to community rentals? Will we be able to take that on? And 100%, it never changes. We've done this all along and we fully intend to continue to do that. Our first priority definitely is the older adult population and that we service, but part of our business plan, part of what we do and our commitment to this community is that we are able to allow space for that also. And just on that note of just space, but just even the personal growth we're seeing, and I didn't mention, if you don't mind me just saying this, we inherited a group that was called Learning Unlimited last year. And Learning Unlimited is an education group and they have speakers and they run twice a year. So we brought them on as Southgate program and we are, because of our existing capacity, we overshot and said, you know what, we can register 200 people. So within the course of a week to 2 weeks, we had registered 200 people, but we had a waiting list of 200 people who wanted to take part in this 8-week program. Well, our existing hall, because we've already taken space for freezers and that, it can't hold 200 people. Thank goodness everybody didn't show up every single week, but that continues. And that's, again, we need that. We need room for the overflow and we need room to grow. We need room for tomorrow. We're building this for tomorrow. And I feel it's just such a responsible thing for the taxpayers also, because you won't see us back asking for more space.
To follow up, but just once again, I want to thank everyone for all their work. I've always said there's only one taxpayer. And I think the other thing people forget is because we have this facility, it's the burden that would be on the healthcare system would be immense because it's not only a social, but it's a well-being. So seniors have to have somewhere they can go to, like, health-wise. So I think it's extremely important. And just to put it into context, we are redoing the downtown. We're spending $4 million alone just on the road work. We're not asking anybody to contribute to it, and it's going to benefit the downtown. But I think this is something that benefits the entire city, is Southgate. Everybody uses it. And again, thank you for all your work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I just want to put a shout out just really quickly to Parks and Recreation, because we're really blessed with the location that we have. We are right on the edge of Southside Park, and that park is incredible. It is a gem. It's absolutely beautiful. And that really has been just such a great partnership also because it gives people the ability to really believe in what we're saying, healthy, active lifestyle, because right there at the edge, as you get out, you walk in this park, there's so many different things. We have 3 ball teams playing in there now, right? From soccer or anything else that they can get, the adult playground. It's a phenomenal location. So thank you for the gift.
Any other question of council for the delegation? Councillor Wheaton?
Thank you. I expected a lot of other questions, but so I want to thank you for your presentation, but thank you for taking the time this week to meet and to talk through the 2 different design options. I appreciate the open conversation that we were able to have. I think I heard you say in your presentation just now that your fundraising is at 1.2 million. And can you give me kind of an update on, are those pledges? Is that cash in hand? Is that, what does that look like from?
So it's a combination of both. And that's something that we actually have talked at, at our committee level also of rounding that up really are the donations that are coming in. So over the course of the remainder of the year and those that are coming in so that we can have as much cash on hand, understanding our relationship with the city and what we need to pay. So we are looking to come to the table with, if not the entire amount, as much as we can. It's a good question though. But they are all, yes, that is definite. We have beyond that, but it is a combination of both. I can't give you those exact figures today because it changes monthly.
Ask a follow-up
Continue.
through the chair. And so that's made up of like 50-50 draw and donations and.
So no, so right now the 50-50 isn't even accounted for in that. That's just a new adventure for us also, that part of that will be going towards this. That's over and above what we have collected to date. So what we have to date is from donors.
Thank you. And I'm sure someone today is very excitedly getting the news that they are the winner of the 50-50.
Yes, she sure was. Right here from Woodstock, she was like ecstatic, couldn't believe it. So thank you for that. And you brought up a good point. I did want to, and it was written and I missed it. Sorry, a little bit nervous. I just wanted to thank the counselors because let it be known that I did meet with each and every one of you in one way, shape, form or other. And I have so much respect for you and I appreciate your candidacy. And while we may not always align, I love to have that ability to talk about, what you stand for and represent. And I think it's really important. So thank you for taking the time. You've certainly shown your true colors of being counselors that care about their community. Your questions were excellent. You certainly challenged me, challenged the board, passed some of them on to the board also. And some,
Councillor Schadenberg?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Maybe this question is going to end up going to our CAO, David Creary, but I guess at the end of the day, the best comparison to make is the city of Woodstock through our capital budget process approved X number of dollars for 2023 for the renovation and the addition at Southgate Center. And so without going into a full list of all the amenities that or square footages that have been taken out of the plan based on what was approved by the city of Woodstock, the addition could go from 12,700 square feet down to 9,500 square feet. So I just want an explanation from the CIO, David Creary, about specifically what the city of Woodstock had approved in our capital budget for 2023, just so it doesn't look like the city of Woodstock is balking on something here in its entirety.
Your worship, Councillor Schadenberg, the project was originally introduced into the city's capital budget, probably 2019, 2020. It was originally a $6.3 million project, financed $5.3 million by the city using debt, and then the $1 million contribution from Southgate Center. If you move through to the 2022 capital budget, the 5.3 million city share continued, but we budgeted a further $200,000 for an anticipated new driveway entrance, and we budgeted $200,000 extra for architectural design services. Then throughout 2022, when we were proceeding to retain the services, professional services of the architect and the sub-consultants. Council further approved another $200,000 towards those professional design services because we needed to sign the fulsome professional service contract in order to move forward. So as it sits today, the total project is $7,010,000 budget, of which $1 million is Southgate Center, and the city share is the $6,010,000. So it's the project budget has risen by $700,000 compared to when it was originally introduced into the city budget. Does that help?
I just wanted that question answered while we still had Chris Cunningham here as a delegate, as opposed to answering that same question later on when we debate a motion.
Any other questions of the delegation? Okay, seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And if council has no objection to this, I propose we move this forward, since this is all fresh in our minds, if that's okay with everyone. And we'll jump down to department reports for 14B1. Any objection to that? Okay. So then I will look for a motion from the floor for an update on the Southgate Center renovation and addition to be discussed. Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I'll move that the budget for the Southgate Center addition and renovation be increased by $2 million in order to proceed with Plan A2.2B, conditional on Southgate Center raising 10% of the budget increase to a maximum of $200,000 as its share of the increased budget, and the remaining $1,800,000 city share of the increased budget to be financed through a debenture.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder on that motion? Councillor Tate. Councillor Lauder, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I will be supporting this resolution. This plan was approved in 2019. And had it proceeded at that time, that is how the costing for the project was established. Southgate was to raise $1 million, which they have done. This plan is what donors base their donations on, and some of the donations were allotted naming rights. Fast forward, with increases in construction costs and inflation, it has brought us to this reality. Southgate Center is a not-for-profit registered Canadian charity, basically operated by volunteers. If the city was to take over its operation, it would be at a much increased cost to operate and give the citizens of Woodstock the opportunity to meet the values that are provided now. That being building an inclusive community, fostering social engagement, promoting wellness of mind, body, and soul. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Tate.
I'm going to keep it short this time, but fully support for all the reasons I stated before. And as I said, we're putting millions into the downtown, and this is going to benefit everybody. And I can attest to the cost of construction. I've been doing a couple of builders risk for clients, and the costs have more than doubled, and delays have escalated. Even the cost of insurance has doubled because of it. So I fully understand that is a real concern. And I think this is very productive for everyone. And as you said, you have to look at the future. So you cannot just build small for now because of the cost, because you're going to end up with something it's going to cost you later anyways. And the cost is going to be more than, as we said, like in 2019, if we'd gone ahead, and now the cost is up. So fully supportive of this. Thanks again for everybody's work. And I'd like a recorded vote.
Okay. Any other discussion? Councillor Leatherborough.
Through your worship, thank you to Chris Cunningham for your presentation. And I really like the active adults. I was chatting with my mom, who is a young 66 yesterday, and she did not appreciate the term senior. So I'm going to move forward with that. But This was very challenging for lots of reasons. I will not be supporting this on the basis of, we did approve a set amount through the budget process. From my recollection, it was a sweeping all in favor for the capital budget. I've heard the term new counselor, new council, team of council. And, with that comes great responsibility that, we're on the other side of COVID. And I feel that there are a lot of areas in this city that will need our attention and funds, whether it be the downtown, whether it be the civic arena, whether it be the Lions pool. And that's not to fault previous decisions, but the reality is that there is such significant diversity around this horseshoe, age, backgrounds, employment, you name it. And I think I could be wrong. Maybe Mr. Curry has the stats on this, but I think this has been the most change we've seen around this horseshoe in a very long time in the city of Woodstock. And so I have a very hard time approving an increase, not because I don't support the wonderful work that Southgate Center does. They provide more than just a service that municipalities are responsible for, but I cannot stress enough that it is challenging and expensive for very, very many people, many projects, and we all are advocates in our own way. Dasso and Ingamo are deeply passionate about the work that they do. I'm sure that they would love some type of financial increase. As a business owner, I mean, I can tell you to fix my awning a year ago is a significantly different price today. So I just hope whichever way that this falls, that everyone keeps in mind that we did go through a successful budget process for a reason. I respect it. I learned so much, and that this decision does not mean that I want anyone to do without. I believe we have a lot of infrastructure within this term of council that we will need to throw time and effort and money at. And so for that, I will not be supporting this increase.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? For anyone? Councillor Wheaton?
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. I also have a challenge supporting the motion that is currently on the floor. The $2 million increase has a significant financial impact to the residents who pay their taxes. Over the course of a 20-year amortization on this debt, on 1.8 million would be in the neighborhood of $900,000 that needs to be covered. I believe it's $180 something in interest in the very first year. And that is, unfortunately, there's no other way to pay for that other than to put that on top of the tax bill. At the time of budget, I would say I was quite uncomfortable with that. The original proposal of debenturing 5.1, I believe it was $5.1 million, I'm going by memory, because of the cost of debt right now, the interest rates at 4.53% would have had a dramatic increase to our tax levy in the budget that we were passed, and worked with staff, worked with the mayor to raise my concerns at that time. That as Councillor Leatherborough said, there are people who are trying to decide right now whether to pay their water bill or put food on the table. And that's an unfortunate reality of the situation that they're in. Increasing, and I would say did a lot of work and a tremendous amount of credit to staff to find a way to reduce that debenture amount down to $3.1 million by finding some DC reserve money to mitigate some of that impact. Now, 6 months later, 5 months later, we're being asked to reconsider that $2 million. Interest rates have not come down, and it is a tremendous concern to me. And again, as Councillor Leatherborough says, that doesn't mean I don't support the work of Southgate. It is a financial challenge for me to ask every resident to pay a little bit more in our current climate. I would say as a question, I did ask about your fundraising, and 1.2 million is an incredible accomplishment. If that isn't all cash available at the time that we go to tender, what is our position? What happens if that isn't all in the bank?
Your worship, through to Councillor Wheaton, if at the time of the city needing to enter into a construction contract, so once the tenders are submitted, there is a finite amount of time between the submission of the tender and actually signing a construction contract. Contractors will not hold their pricing in this pricing environment for significant lengths of time. So if Southgate does not have the 1.2 million in liquid cash, not pledges, we will not be able to sign that construction contract unless council approves bridge financing for any of the unfunded piece. And so this is a very important point that that we are not legally allowed to sign a contract unless we have the approved funds on hand. And so we could find ourselves in a position of council having to provide interim financing at that point in time. And so if that is the case, council should be prepared for this eventuality of having to bridge in order to move forward with an award of this contract.
Go ahead and continue.
Thank you for a follow-up. And what would happen if, so this is an estimate that we're being faced with right now. When we actually go to tender, what happens if 9 million is 9.4 or 9.8? Or do we come back and have this discussion again at that point? Or at what point do we say this cost is outside of our comfort zone?
Your worship, through to Councillor Wheaton, it's something we've seen and we've experienced on numerous occasions. And the current environment that we're in with respect to inflation, availability of materials and supplies and equipment that is needed for construction, the cost dynamics are significant. The confidence in construction price estimation is not as good as it is when inflation and all of these factors that are impacting pricing are more stable. So what we're trying at this point to do is to get a project that we think and feel is close. If we get to within 10% of that actual construction budget, the rule of thumb is that you negotiate with the contractor to find savings, to bring that project scope down to a point where we actually have a contract that we can go forward with. If it's over that 10%, we may face the potential need to go back and redesign and retender, which all costs more money, which then eats into your available budget. So that's what we're trying to avoid.
If I can may add to that, I've had the pleasure to sit down with the architect as well and be in a bunch of these meetings, and there's been a lot of efforts to try to get this within a set budget as discussed, as this council has been, budgeted. We also have to recommend we are using a much higher square footage, so it is possible it will come in under $9 million. It's possible. We do have to keep that in mind. Right? We've seen many budgets come through here that has come through under budget. Not always, but again, for council's reminder, it's possible. I correct me if I'm wrong, this is through the CAO, that if that happens and let's say worst case scenario, it comes back, it's over, let's say this is successful at $9 million today. If it comes back over that 10%, we can't negotiate down to that 9 million, then we would be basically sitting here again saying, what does council want to do? Add on extra, or we deduct square footage. Is that correct?
Your worship, that is correct. We'd be looking at those options.
Okay. Okay, so we're looking at right now, we do have a set amount. I've actually lost sleep on this one. This is a tough one. Yeah. This is one of those, and I'm glad Councillor Tate brought up the complex, because it's just like that. The complex 20 years ago, I think we should have put seating in it. We should have done so much more, but again, I feel we did cheapen out. I was not on council at the time, of course, but I still feel that we looked at that. I think if we look at the growing needs of our city, we have to remember it's not just today. This is what's going to be used for 15, 20, 30 years from now. It's kind of unfortunate that this is probably the last kind of expansion that could happen on that piece of land, just simply because there is no more room. So we don't really have a lot of options in the future to expand. So if we're really concerned, this is my opinion, if we're really concerned about rising costs, we know the best time to build was yesterday, not tomorrow. We know prices are going up. So if this is what council's decided the needs are for Southgate Center already, then I think I just remind you, then this is what we may have to spend in order to get what we've already decided is needed here in the city. 61% of the population are eligible to use it. We spend millions, far more, on servicing our younger people and young families. If we look at all the parks and baseball diamonds and soccer fields and cricket pitches and everything else. This is tough, and I believe everybody should remember that. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and kind of just a general comment, I think that I probably echo the sentiment of a few of us that this has been a lot of hours I've spent reading over this, talking to fellow councillors, talking to Chris as well, and even reaching out to speaking to a few members. I won't lie. At first, I thought, "Oh wow, this is a lot of money, and I'm not sure I can do this." But I've spent a lot of time thinking about the future of our community. I also look at this as a need beyond just what Southgate Center needs. It's a need in our community. We do not have rental space within our city anymore. As somebody who works in event planning, it's awful. And I mean, it is absolutely horrible trying to find a space to host a fundraising event and finding a space that accommodates. And, you know, I think that I have, like you said, Mr. Mayor, lost some sleep over this and spent a lot of hours over it. But for me, it's an investment in our future. And I think that that's a big part of what I have come away with. And I know it's a lot to ask for our residents to come on board with, but it's the long term is where I'm looking at this.
So would anybody like the motion read again to be clear what we're voting on? Is everybody okay with that, or would we like Councillor Lauder to reread it? And I only say that because it's not exactly in our agenda the way it was originally planned. So are we comfortable if there is no other questions? Councillor Schanberg?
I guess maybe just a point of clarification to our finance department. Does the number of years for paying back the, for lack of a better term, the loan have to be stated as a 15-year debenture versus a 20-year debenture, or even 10 years?
Your worship, through to the councillor's question, usually on a project building of this size, we would debenture 20 years.
Well, if council doesn't feel the need, if no, I don't think so. Okay. Any other questions before I call the vote? Oh, sorry, yes, a recorded vote. My apologies. So any other questions before I turn it over to the clerk? Okay, seeing none, over to you.
Counselor Tate,
Yes.
Counselor Wheaton,
No.
Counselor Wismer Van Meer,
Yes.
Mayor Accioni,
Yes.
Counselor Lauder,
Yes.
Counselor Weatherbarrow,
No.
and Counselor Schattenberg.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you to everyone and all the work you've done into this. I know as counselors, we've sat with staff for numerous hours as well as Southgate Center. So thank you for everybody willing to answer our questions, because again, this is a lot of money and something to consider, but we are talking about the future, as I mentioned. So let's just keep that in budget now. Next key. All right, moving along. I think that finishes with delegations. Yes, it does. All right, consideration of planning reports. None, so consideration of a correspondence. 10A. Counselor Tate,
I'll move that Woodstock City Council approve the request for the temporary closure of the streets for the downtown Woodstock Summer Street Fest and the necessary bylaw be prepared.
thank you. Looking for a seconder on the motion. Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion? No questions, council? No? All right, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Carried. None opposed. No staff presentations, no mayor reports, councilor reports. 13A, 2023 Accessibility Conference, Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council receive the report regarding the 2023 Accessibility Conference as information.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder. Counselor Wismer Van Meer, discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? None opposed. Carried. Now into departments reports. Of course, we did move along 14B1, so we're going to Parks and Rec. Is that right? Yes, it is. Get into, sorry, and I'd like to, with council's permission again, I'd like to do a flip flop here. I think it's related. I think we should discuss Lions Pool before we get into the water needs study. So if that's okay, no objections from council. All right, thank you. Then I'm gonna call ahead. We're gonna have 14D2 for the Lions Outdoor Pool Liner. And looking for a motion, Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council approves the closing of Lions Pool for 2023 in order to do a full project costing and construction as a single redevelopment project with the timeline of reopening in 2024.
Looking for a seconder on that motion, Counselor Wismer Van Meer. Discussion. Counselor Leatherborough, since you made the motion.
Thank you through your worship. Thank you to Brian Connors, Mr. Brian Connors, for taking multiple phone calls. My family uses Lions Pool just as much as the next family, and I know it's a community staple. However, it is challenging. The cost of this liner does not guarantee us swim ability this summer. So I do think it's important to hold off to get a full package deal, if you will, of a plan and a cost, and to see what council's direction is after that. And on the service end, I will just speak on behalf of myself, whether it's for residents or city staff, the last thing you want is for people to be scrambling, trying to replace things and then squeeze as much swim time, if at all possible, in a short amount of time. So just really big thank you to Mr. Connors for all of his time and knowledge this week. And always.
Thank you, Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Just kind of a comment as well, kind of counseling, echoing what Counselor Leatherborough said. I had a chance to go to the pool and meet with both Jason and Kyle this week, and I thank them for doing that and got to see firsthand exactly what is going on at Lions Pool. You know, I'll be the first to admit it's been a long time since I've been in that pool myself and a long time since I've been in that building, but it was shocking how much it hasn't changed in some ways. But the pool itself is such a staple within our community. And I know that there will be people that are upset to not see it open this summer, but there is work that needs to be done. And, you know, talking to the two and just looking at exactly what needs to be done, I would hate to see us get this liner rushed in just to find out that X, Y, and Z is not going to work. And then we're just shutting it down again. So I think that, you know, speaking with them, they did do a very great job at explaining exactly what needs to be done. And I hope that we'll get that up and going again and have great 2024 summer in there.
Thank you, Counselor Schanberg.
I was hoping that between our aquatics supervisor, Jason Joliker, being here, and Parks and Recreation Director, Brian Connors, to maybe be able to both answer this question, because obviously there's timelines for things like AODA compliance. And again, I congratulate Councilor Leatherborough for going to the conference in Guelph on accessibility, because there really wasn't a lot of those kind of committees for me to attend, meetings for me to attend when I was on that committee during COVID and whatnot. So I congratulate her from attending, but AODA compliance is still something that can come right up in front of us when we're looking at a public facility with full public access for, doesn't matter what age group, it doesn't, people understand what accessibility is all about. So between Brian Connors and Jason Jolliker, I want to get an answer as to the current condition of the Lions Pool for accessibility and what the provincial timelines would be to sort of say, well, this doesn't cut it. The current Lions Pool doesn't.
Your worship, through to the councilor's question. Currently Lions Pool, the entry does meet accessibility standards. There is a lift there. However, there's a difference between meeting the bare minimum standards and meeting kind of the dignity standards of getting in and out of water. So one of the things that we will be doing and coming back to council as far as pricing out would be for an accessible ramp, much like the one that was put in at South Side. That way, folks with any disabilities or older don't have the choice between, hopping in or using a hoist lift. So that's certainly one of the things that would be coming back with pricing.
Continue, Councillor Schanberg.
And I guess my follow-up question, not that we want to rely upon any facilities outside of the realm of what belongs to the city of Woodstock, but is there any chance whatsoever that the YMCA could pick up the slack with swimming lessons, et cetera, and swimming time within the city of Woodstock? Because I know their pool has not been in use for quite some time.
Your worship, through to the councilor's question. I don't believe the YMCA is the answer. I haven't been in contact with anyone from the YMCA in several months, but the last time I was, they were saying it's still not open. When a pool's basin is dry that long, it's going to need extensive repairs. Same with the filter system. So I'm not sure about their capital timelines or project to get that pool back up, but I would say it's just as far away as Lions Pool or any other pool that's needing extensive repairs before moving forward. I have spoken to the aquatic supervisor, and as far as lessons go, this summer, all the lessons that were planned at Lions can be migrated over to Southside Pool, as well as Aquafit won't be affected, aquatic leadership, camp swims, afternoon and weekend recreational swims. There will be some different hours or smaller hours for the summer swim team and for possibly two of the evening rec swims. But if those swims have a lot of people in them or there's a lot of demand, we can add some more times during the week.
Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Through the mayor to, I guess, more of a general comment again. I think that was one of the things for me when I was meeting with staff there and talking about wanting to put this ramp in for accessibility, putting a liner in now to just take that back out to do these. I'm going to assume you're probably voiding your warranty on the liner potentially or causing, damage that could be done. So in the long scheme of things, it just makes sense to come back with all of these potential needs answered before we go ahead and put this liner in. So that way it can hopefully come back as one package.
Councillor Wheaton and then Councillor Tate.
Yeah, I think through the chair, for me, this isn't just about a liner. I think that we're all recognizing that there are a number of other boxes that we can check off at the same time and find out what our actual cost is and what our benefit is. Does this buy us 5 more years or 8 more years or 15 more years? If we actually make all the necessary improvements by taking the time to find out exactly what the cost impact is for us. So looking forward to that follow-up report, finding out what our long-term opportunity is.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
Through your worship, if this motion passes, I want the public to be aware we're not shutting it down permanently. I don't want people to get the impression that we're closing Lions Pool. But I mean, everybody spoke to the reason why we don't put the liner in and then open it. But can staff just comment on that? Because I think it's important that the public is aware, even if we put the liner in, it doesn't mean the pool's going to work. So I think the public needs to be aware why we are apprehensive of spending all this money to get it open, because it may not open.
Your worship, through to the council's question, that is correct. The piping, below decks is 77 years old. A lot of it is, for the last several years, has been, doing above and beyond its duty. And every year when we test the pool, it might fail. We can't, but you have to fill the pool before it's tested. There has been fittings and intakes that have gone down over time. So the pool circulation gets a little bit worse when we do that. So it is unknown that even if we were able to put a liner in here, if there would be swimming at Lions Pool, just based on the conditions of the rest of the pool's internal systems. The mechanical systems are fine. The mechanical room is fine. It's just the piping to it, which is very, very decrepit.
Go ahead, Councillor
Just,
Tate.
just through your worship, just recognizing, as I said to a fellow counselor, this is one of those motherhead issues with Lions Pool. It's been part of the community for so long, and people here were gonna close it. They get really upset. So I think this is the third time it's been here since I've been on council, and it's always very difficult. So I was going to spend the money, and then when I heard, well, if you spend the money, it may not start anyways. So I'd rather get way ahead of it, so we end up with a pool that we can still enjoy and get it fixed.
Councillor Lauder.
Thank you. I agree with the comments that have been made, and I did speak with Kyle yesterday, and he gave me a good outline of what's happening there. I had a call yesterday, and it was, I don't know if they were at an aquafit and found out that the pool was not going to be open this summer, but they were rather upset that it wasn't going to open. And so I tried to explain to them, hopefully I got through, that there's no use of just putting a liner in if we don't know whether it's going to work or not. So, but they said, well, could we do a fundraising? I said, oh, we love fundraisers. If you want to do a fundraiser, you can go right ahead. And so they were really upset that it wasn't going to be open. So I can let them know that just go ahead and do a fundraiser and we'll take the money. So thank you.
Any other, Councillor Tate?
Sorry, can I make an amendment to the motion then? 'Cause it sounds like it's probably going to pass. That we make the remaining water parks free for the season for the public. I don't know what the wording should be for that. If CAO could help me with that.
Your worship, through to Councillor Tate, it would be, and that the Southside Aquatic Center Water Park is the only water park that has a fee associated with it because it has standing water and it has to be lifeguarded. So the motion would be that the outdoor water park behind Southside Aquatic Center be free for the 2023 season. And I believe the budgeted dollar value of that is about $22,000.
I would like to move that amendment, friendly amendment, if possible.
As the mover of the original motion, is that okay?
Yes.
Yes, I believe you moved that.
Yes, that's fine.
That would be okay. So is there any other questions? Let's talk about the amendment at this point. Any questions for staff or Councillor Leatherborough?
Just if through your worship to Mr. Connors, what would that look like? Or is that, would that change anything major on your end for your staff?
Your worship, through the councilor's question, no, it wouldn't really change any staffing. We might have to staff up if we're getting really busy in there because it is free. But it wouldn't. And if Lions Pool is closing, we will have the staff to do it. So I wouldn't be concerned about that.
Just
Continue.
follow up through your worship. Would there be capacity limits put on place? I'm guessing if everybody blocks the south side.
Your worship, through the councilor's question, yes, there is capacity limits for all bodies of water that are staffed. That will be basically the limit.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on the amendments to begin with? Yes, thank you. Okay, well, I'll just make a little comment that I really like this idea, recognizing that we are taking, unfortunately, temporarily anyways, a body of water away for families to use. But I think there's a lot of fiscal responsibility in this of taking the time instead of rushing into something, to have staff take a look at before a final decision is made. And then let's now go back to the original motion as amended. Any final questions before I'll call the vote? Councillor Leatherborough.
Just through your worship to Councillor Tate, I think this is great. And I think there are a lot of families, specifically in the north end, without water. My kids started soccer at Cowan Park last night, so I'm happy we've moved some water forward there. But I think this is great. So thank you for the friendly amendment and I support it.
Any other questions, comments? So just for those to be clear at home, we are not closing Lions Pool right now. Okay, we're gonna look at costing. We're gonna take the time, get proper costing, take a look. I thank staff for meeting with me. They tried to squeeze me down the hole and to check out the pipes, but I didn't fit. So I couldn't, I had to rely on all the photos, but let me tell you, it looks like 77-year-old piping underneath and it's not pretty. So I think this, again, fiscally responsible is the best way to go. And thank Councillor Tate for this amendment to this. I think this is something great for a lot of families will actually benefit from and use, take advantage. I encourage them. So, and with that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor with the amended? That's carried. That's unanimous. So we are going to look at Lions Pool for the future. Look at costing and look at all options, but the great news here, it is free for the rest of the year for families to go and use the splash pad at Southside Park. So enjoy. Moving along. So now we'll go back to 14D1, the revised rec water needs assessment. Councillor Leatherborough.
So I'm just going to change it, and if I have a seconder, then I'll explain. And further, that Woodstock City Council approves in principle the new location of the 2023 splash pad build to half of the upper complex soccer field and direct staff to undertake stakeholder consultation for this location and report back to council with the results.
Sorry, we'll need a seconder on that first. Sorry. Councillor Wheaton, second, and then Councillor Leatherborough, like to speak to that.
Thank you. I just wanted to focus on, now that we have decided on Lions Pool to not go forward with the liner, I wanted to keep the 2025 capital plan outdoor pool design in so that when we get a full bundle picture of Lions Pool, we can have two situations to compare as we move forward. So I just wanted to make that edit depending on council's feedback. If we cannot remove it, as it says removal, for the very reason that I would like to be able to compare both potential bodies of water outdoor in the city of Woodstock.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Councillor Schanberg.
Yeah, from the mayor through to Brian Connerson, Parks and Recreation, just for anybody who maybe didn't read the full report or understand that the reason for the switch up to the community complex location for a future possible splash pad, not a wading pool, but a splash pad is what?
Your worship, through to the councilor's question. The reason why we're recommending this change is we got a negative engineering report regarding the land there and the flooding and the amount of mitigation that would need to take place. That would seriously take away from a lot of the features just to get that site prepped. And, you know, at one point, you take away so many features, it's really, you know, it's really a problem probably for the community, because this splash pad is supposed to be the thing that replaces that wading pool as far as a capital renewal project. So if you're not giving folks at least something that's very close to it, you know, it becomes a zero-sum game.
Councillor
I
Shattenberg.
know I'm kind of.
You
I'm
got a
behind
question, I
with the
can
way
tell.
I'm shaking my head, but just again, clarification that there was gonna be a brand new splash pad built in Southside Park and that won't occur now. And then I know it was close to Cedar Creek and close to Ball Diamonds and certainly within and members of council may have seen, I don't know, I didn't send it to you, Mr. Connors, but council would have seen updated 250-year floodplain maps of that part of the Southside Park, including the Ball Diamonds, because I sent it to them. So I apologize, I didn't send a map to you, but obviously it's certainly floodplain property, but that kind of goes without saying, being that close to Cedar Creek.
Your worship, through to the councilor's question, that did come into the factoring in, because we would have had to elevate the electrical systems for the use of the splash pad and make sure that they were all waterproof. Again, just another item that would be added to the cost, as well as the problem of the soil.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, well, I'll say I certainly appreciate us keeping this in the 2025 budget. It's no secret, many of us put this out on social media and many of us got such mixed responses to build new to keeping Lions Pool. For somebody that has used that pool lots in my younger years, I remember before the liner went in and how hard it was on your feet. I got many great memories in that pool. I'd hate to see it gone away. So I think this gives a chance for a fair look at that location, but keeps us in our budget for 2025. A lot of people are asking, well, how long do we have to go without a pool if we don't do this? And no, we have been planning on this. I've been on council now 9 years, and 9 years, the same question has come up. This time, is Lions Pool gonna open? Right, we've been knowing this is coming at us. So I appreciate staff for taking the time again, as mentioned. And let's take a look at everything that needs to be done there, and then let's make a decision going forward. Councillor Leatherborough?
Through your worship, last question to Mr. Connors. So timeline, could council expect in the fall or before next budget season to see what the overall cost would entail for Lions Pool?
Your worship, through the councilor's question, yes. The next report that'll come to council on Lions Pool or outdoor will be a full costing for the pool to have it set to be fine for the next 20-25 years. And alongside that, as far as a comparison for what would it cost to have a new facility put in an outdoor pool, and then council would be able to make the decision on what direction they wish to take.
Thank you for that question. That's a great question. And maybe something we should look at as a city is actually putting that out on social media and looking for some feedback as well, just to get some general discussion going before next time with council. So, but we'll speak with staff on that. No other questions or concerns at this point? I'll call the question. All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you very much. Brings us down to Clerk's Department. Update to paratransportation policy and procedures. I'm looking for a motion. Councillor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council adopt the recommended updates to para-transportation policy and procedures A002 and direct staff to publish the updated version of the city's website by June 9th, 2023.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder, Counselor Lauder, discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, carry. Human Resources, Director of Human Resources. Looking for a motion, Counselor Leatherborough.
Moved by myself that Woodstock City Council direct the CAO to manage the recruitment process with the best use of staff resources, and further that council appoint Mayor Accioni and Councilor Leatherborough to participate in the interview process.
Looking for a seconder on the motion, Counselor Tate. Discussion? Seeing none, if anybody else would like to be involved, please speak up. Okay, seeing none, then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed. Thank you. Next we have, let's see here. No special committee advisory task force reports, no notice of motion, new business. Right, Counselor Wheaton?
Yes, thank you. I would like to raise an item under new business, if council would entertain that.
Any objection to council? Seeing none, we have unanimous consent. Please go ahead with your motion, Counselor Wheaton.
Thank you, Mayor Accioni. My motion would be that Woodstock City Council waive transit fares on June 17th, 2023 in celebration of Oxford County Pride Family Day.
Thank you. Looking for a seconder on that motion. Counselor Leatherborough. Discussion, Counselor Wheaton, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, we raised the flags this morning here at the city and had the opportunity to talk about the variety of events that will be happening throughout Pride Month. And of course, on June 17th is Pride Family Day from, I believe it's 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So the opportunity to bring as many people downtown on public transit would alleviate parking concerns in that area of the city and get people involved. So the request for free transit is a result of that.
Thank you. Any discussion? With that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, carried. Thank you, Counselor Wheaton. I like that one. So, thank you. Next up, we have draft bylaws. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Tate, that the following bylaws be given a first and second reading. 9603-23, a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 8626-10 as amended, ZN 82112, south of Oxford Road 17. 9604-23, a bylaw to amend the City of Woodstock Municipal Code Chapter 153, property standards, officers' appointments. 9605-23, a bylaw to amend the City of Woodstock Municipal Code Chapter 134, officials' appointments.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor? None opposed, carried. Counselor Wismer Van Meer.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Wheaton, that the following bylaws are given a third and final reading. 9603-23, 9604-23, and 9605-23.
Thank you. Last chance. Any questions? Before I call the vote. All right, all those in favor? Those are carried. None opposed. And with that, we got through the meeting. We went over a lot of big stuff today, so I'd like to say thank you to council. One thing I've taken pride as mayor is I truly believe this council takes a lot of personal pride into finding details, asking questions before they come here, and we make some big decisions on these. And Southgate Center and Lions Pool are two examples of that these are not easy decisions. And again, thank you on behalf of all of City of Woodstock citizens for taking that time, because I know it takes a lot. We are going to start with Counselor Schattenberg tonight, just because he's not ready.
Well, actually, I am ready, but I just want to remind everyone that Thursday, June the 15th, from noon until 2 p.m., Music in the Square starts in Museum Square. Piano playing DJ, I understand, a gentleman from Brantford is going to be the guest for the first week. It's more of a BIA series throughout the summertime in Museum Square. And speaking about the museum, last night the Oxford Historical Society had their monthly meeting, and the museum, as everyone knows, is celebrating its 75th birthday this year. And many around our horseshoe today got the one of their swag items, the 75th anniversary museum glasses cleaner for your eyeglasses, to be able to take advantage of that. And I picked up one last night and received a few others from the staff there. But Karen Houston last night was the guest speaker at the Oxford Historical Society meeting, and she talked about the history of 1947, 1948 in that time, some of the things that were going on in Woodstock at that time when the museum opened. Of course, at that point, it was on the second floor of the current museum only, because the main floor of the museum was still City Hall. So that was a good discussion if anybody had missed that. And also want to remind everyone that Sunday, June the 10th is Cultural Canvas, also Museum Square, from 2 until 9 p.m. Full list of vendors and food trucks, et cetera, are listed on the city website. Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to bounce over to your Counselor Lauder.
Thank you. As has been stated, June is Seniors Month, as proclaimed by Bill 70, 2023. The province recognizes and celebrates the work seniors have done and are doing in our communities. And I've been asked to pass on to the compliments to staff for the great parade on Victoria Day. They said that was just wonderful, and to see all the bands, and really enjoyed it. So thank you to all the staff that participated in making that happen. And from the Office of the Police Chief, as reported at our meeting on Monday evening, Victim Assistance Services of Oxford County, BASOC, I guess it is, are looking for volunteers to assist their organization. They're a nonprofit, community-based charitable organization. BASOC provides crisis assistance to victims of crime or tragic circumstances. They offer emotional support, practical assistance, and community referral information to victims and families. They offer crisis intervention services 24/7, 365 days a year. Teams of trained staff and volunteer crisis support workers can provide assistance at a safe location or by telephone 519-537-2824. And our police department is receiving a large number of 911 calls. Reminder, stay on the line. If you dial 911 by accident, don't hang up. If you hang up, our callers takers will try to get a hold of you to confirm you're safe and not in need of assistance. So it does take up a lot of extra time. And my condolences go to the families of the bus driver and the OPP officer who were killed in that tragic accident this week. And thank you.
Yes, for sure. Thank you, Counselor Lauder. Counselor Wismer Van Meer, we're going to keep bouncing.
Thank you. And I didn't fall off my electric scooter in the parade. So that was an accomplishment to me, because it is really hard to ride those things at a really slow rate. So I was trying to avoid hitting Councillor Schattenberg in front of me and not being ran over by Councillor Wheaton behind me. And my son reminded me multiple times, Mom, you can do this. So anyways, it was a lot of fun. So thank you to the staff for a great parade. Of course, happy Pride to everybody. This morning was really great to see so many folks out for the flag raising ceremonies, both here at the county building and in downtown Woodstock. So some great festivities kicking off. Tomorrow is the Cheesy Pride Play Day at Gun Artisan Cheese. I know that Shep and Carlene are extremely excited about this event tomorrow. So if you have an opportunity, it's 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. No, Saturday. I'm sorry. I'm thinking today's Friday. Oh my goodness. Still got one more day to go, right? Saturday, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So head out to Guns, Sailors and Cheese. Of course, you get some great cheese while you're out there, but support the Oxford County Pride folk as well. And it's going to be a great opportunity to get out and have a great time. And of course, closing weekend for Year in Town at Theater Woodstock, the Stages Group. So I'll plug the local theater as often as I can to get out there and promote or support the great people doing great work here in our community on stage. And Big Brothers Big Sisters are kicking off the Rally for Restaurants today. This is a coupon book that you can purchase, and it's $25 for a book. 36 participants all over Oxford County are participating. The coupons start at July, but it's a great chance to get out and see some of those businesses that you haven't had a chance to visit yet. So thank you to all those that do participate in that and support the organization. But it's a great opportunity to support local. So if you've got an opportunity to grab your booklet, and it's a great gift for Father's Day.
Mind mentioning where people can buy those books?
That might help, right? You can go to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Oxford County website. You can buy them online or stop by the Woodstock or Ingersoll office during their business hours. So you can purchase them in person. Thank you, Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you. Councillor Leatherborough.
I'll keep mine short. Happy Pride. As Tammy Murray said this morning at the flag raising, say it loud and say it proud. It's very simple to say Happy Pride. And I just want to acknowledge that in a time that things can be challenged, for different walks of life. We'll leave it at that. I'm really proud of this council for being there. We were all there. Councillor Lauder was there in spirit. Something came up, but I was very proud to see everybody and the head of council reading the proclamation. So a great morning. And also Wellington Street North is under construction, which is my street. My neighbors are asking me lots of questions, but be careful. I saw a lot of people driving through the construction today. Take your time, be safe, and look out for workers. And it's all worth it for new sidewalks. Happy Pride.
Thank you. Councillor Tate.
Not a happy note, but just reminder with the season, keep your houses locked. My neighbors got broken into. They had just stepped out to go to the doctor, were gone for like an hour, and they cleaned them out. So I live in a neighborhood with all retired people, so I always say, oh, it's safe because everybody's always watching, but sometimes you don't know. And it was apparently 2 women. So lock your house, still have to do that. And city's growing. And on Sunday on CBC, I was interviewed for a show on voter fraud, on something that I just went through, and they're going to be doing a story on that. It happens in many municipalities, not thankfully with any municipal elections or federal elections, but it does happen on some other elections. So that will be on Sunday. And enjoy the weather.
Thank you. Councillor Wheaton.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a quick update that it was a number of weeks ago, might have been 2 months ago, that we talked about Bill 5 here, the Stopping Harassment and Abuse by Local Leaders Act. It did fail at the legislature this week, which was shocking. 154 municipalities had written in support for the bill, and our Conservative government did not see fit to listen to that voice. But for those of us who have worked on this legislation, we're not done. Other motions are coming forward. AMO is taking a very strong stand, Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and if you'll let me, I'll be bringing forward another motion to tackle this from a different direction. Tomorrow is the grand opening of Burrito Guys across the street, and I'm always in favor of a good burrito. So I will be there. I believe that's at 2 o'clock. Well, I'm actually in favor of all food, if we're honest. And then the Tourism Oxford Awards are Tuesday, June 13th. I can't even believe we're saying June, but Tuesday, June 13th at the Elmhurst Inn. Always a lot of local businesses get recognized at those awards. And so if people have the opportunity to go see that, I encourage you to attend. And I hope I've left something. We've all left something for you to share, Mr.
Haven't saved me much at all. Going through my list here, I've been scratching it off. So I think there is a Woodstock Walk for Lupus. That is this Saturday. That has not been mentioned yet. Down at Southside Park. Cultural Canvas was touched on. I just want to say it again, though. That's a very exciting new event here for the city at Museum Square, starting from 2 till 9 on June 10th. So that's next Saturday. And I encourage everyone to go online. I get a lot of messages. I bump into people, doesn't matter. I'm at the grocery store or the gas station. They ask me where, because they see a lot of my posts and I'm posting things of where to find all this information out. And between what's on Woodstock and simply our website, I encourage you, go on. We do a fantastic job of keeping things up to date. On cityofwoodstock.ca, go under live and play, and you can actually see the calendar of events and then click on something of interest and you will get more details. So it is all there, all available. Of course, follow everyone's socials. I believe we do a very good job of trying to keep people up to date. The information is out there. Take a few minutes and take a look, and we hope to see you at lots of different events. Surprised nobody mentioned Sam Roberts Band. I mean, that's big for Cowapalooza. That's great news. I've been biting my tongue on that one for too long, and now we can finally say it. That this is fantastic. So thank you, Councillor Wheaton, for saving that for me. And let's face it, we all know I like food too. So there is the grand opening tomorrow at Burrito Guys. They are doing $1 burritos going to charity tomorrow. So I will be there. I believe that is 2 o'clock for the grand opening, and love to see the place packed. Was in there yesterday again, getting some more lunch, and it is delicious. So I encourage everybody, get downtown shopping, eating, and of course recreation, to go out and have a visit and social with friends every opportunity you can. And with that, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Wheaton, seconded by Councillor Wismer Van Meer. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Happy June. Happy Pride Day. Thanks. Thank you.